Hello, this is Bob, and I'll be reading the Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 edition of the Fall River Herald News. Today's weather will be rain and snow at night, 37 to 44 for a high, 23 to 30 for a low. On Wednesday, we're looking at a breezy morning, 36 to 43 for a high, 28 to 35 for a low. Thursday, partly sunny, 43 to 50 for a high, 8 to 15 for a low. Friday, very cold, 24 to 31 for a high and 21 to 28 for a low. Saturday, high clouds and cold, 33 to 40 for a high, 27 to 34 for a low. Sunrise was at 6:53 this morning, and the sun sets tonight at 4:15. The first article on the front page is entitled, Council Confirms CFO as City Auditor. Contract terms change for Chief Financial Officer. The city has a new finance chief and auditor, two permanent positions that were vacant until a recent city council meeting confirmed the names of those appointed, but not without discussion and a radical change of contract terms for the Chief Finance Officer job. At the November 25th meeting, a divided council voted 6-3 to confirm Emily Arpke, who has served as the city's interim CFO for months that have spanned terse budget talks and fiscal management of the city's $500 million budget, as the new CFO with a one-year contract that carries an annual salary of $142,000. The council voted 5-4 on a motion of City Councilor Cliff Ponte to add new terms to Arpke's confirmation that said Arpke would need to be reconfirmed for the job after her one-year contract expires. At the meeting, the vote to confirm Arpke was held up while City Councilor Sean Cadime inquired with Corporation Counsel Alan Rumsey as to how the city's charter, which outlines the contract law, allows for a one-time appointment to a position, despite job contracts having terms of 1, 2, and 3 years, far below the tenure most applicants enjoy in their roles. Ponte echoed Cadime's concerns, explaining that he believed the terms of the contract, being kept to 1 year, could allow Arpke to receive mentorship, which he said would ensure people in this building can respect her and that she can continue to gain experience necessary to support her. I want to see her rise to the occasion, Ponte said. Sorry for that pomp and circumstance, he said to Arpke, who sat listening in the chamber audience. When it came time to confirm the appointment of Christopher Murphy as the city's auditor with a 3-year contract that carries an annual salary of $115,000, no debate was heard, nor were additional terms or conditions applied. The executive branch of city government handles appointments, Rumsey said, with the mayor selecting an individual, then calling on the council to confirm the name and the person. When initial contracts reach the ends of their terms and expire, there is no recertification or reapproval process outlined in the city charter, which governs these ministrations. You're really confirming that the person is competent and qualified for the position, said Rumsey. But the actual term of the contract is an executive function of what is deemed a strong mayor city, and that power remains with the administration. We have one bite at the apple, Ponte mused, chewing on Rumsey's opinion that the council may only confirm an appointment once, even as most employees at City Hall are installed for much longer than the terms of their initial contracts. From a legal standpoint, the city does not treat contract extensions or renewals as rehires. We don't start over from scratch again, Rumsey said. When Ponte suggested adding terms of re-ratification of a contract on behalf of the council, Rumsey said the suggestion should be brought forward in the form of a resolution and pass through standard approvals to become an ordinance. Otherwise, Rumsey said, he didn't believe additional terms would be enforceable. As discussion droned on, Ponte disclosed having had a prior conversation with Mayor Paul Coogan, which resulted in him committing Arpke for appointment under a one-year job contract. When former city CFO Bridget Alman was appointed in March 2022, her contract held a term of 3 years. Prior to Alman taking the helm of city finances, former CFO Mary Sahady held the position since 2016. We have a city that, up until today, has no CFO, no city auditor. We don't have a city administrator, Ponte said, emphasizing the importance of selectivity for the roles he named. Council Vice President Linda Pereira raised the question that if the council adds terms to a contract to truncate or limit it to a year, Arpke may not want the job. Councilors Kadime, Michelle Dion, Pereira, and Council President Joseph Camara voted down terms that would mandate Arpke's appointment would have a year-long duration before needed to be confirmed for a second time by the council. Councilors Paul Hart, Bradford Kilby, Ponte, Andrew Raposa, and Ricky Tith voted in favor of the precedent-breaking contractual terms. On the appointment, Hart, Kilby, Ponte, Raposa, Tith, and Camara confirmed Arpke's title as Director of Financial Services. Despite the added terms in place, Kadime, Dion, and Pereira voted against Arpke's appointment. Murphy's appointment was favored unanimously by the council. This next front page article is entitled, Complicated Rules for E-Bikes, Mopeds Causing Concern for Dartmouth Officials. When it comes to the wide range of small engine-propelled or assisted vehicles like electric bikes and scooters that have risen in popularity over recent years, Dartmouth officials want to raise public awareness of what is and isn't okay. That was the conclusion of a discussion on the topic between Dartmouth Police Chief Brian Levesque and Select Board at their November 17th meeting, where Levesque shared the enforcing laws around those vehicles can be challenging for police. According to Levesque, knowing which laws apply to which vehicles can get a little bit complicated out there. They're all in different categories, and even the Registry of Motor Vehicles is still trying to decide on some, he said. Aside from vehicles categorized as scooters, Levesque said there's 2 recognized classes of electric bikes, and then there's like almost a third class that doesn't fall within the other 2 that they are still working on. We've actually got different charts we have to use to consult when we stop these vehicles to figure out what they are or what category they fall into, and then what the requirements are on them. Knowing what's what when it comes to all the different little vehicles isn't the only challenge, according to Levesque. We do have a problem with these different vehicles not commonly stopping for us, Levesque said. Frequently they flee, and there's not a lot we're going to do with that at this time. We don't have any great way of stopping them, and we don't want to see them get into an accident and get hurt or hurt someone else while they're trying to get away for a helmet violation or something like that. Ideas for increasing public awareness of the rules for the vehicles included having police hand out educational materials when making stops, posting materials at Dartmouth schools, and setting up an informational page online. And I know that's not an ultimate solution, but on the other hand, Nobody knows what the rules are, said Select Board member David Tattlebaum. We can save one reckless kid by doing something that we're not doing. According to a guide made available online from the town of Natick, Massachusetts general law defines an electric bicycle or e-bike as a bicycle or tricycle equipped with fully operable pedals and an electric motor of 750 watts or less. Class 1 e-bikes are those that are equipped with a motor that provides assistance only when the rider is pedaling, and that ceases to provide assistance when the bicycle reaches the speed of 20 miles per hour. Class 2 e-bikes are equipped with a motor that may be used exclusively to propel the bicycle, and that is not capable of providing assistance when the bicycle reaches the speed of 20 miles per hour. Neither e-bike class requires a license or registration to operate, the guide says. Unlike e-bikes, motorized bikes, or mopeds, do require a valid driver's license or permit and registration, and all riders must wear helmets. Massachusetts general law defines motorized bikes, or mopeds, as a pedal bicycle which has a helper motor, or a non-pedal bicycle which has a motor, with a cylinder capacity not exceeding 50 cubic centimeters, an automatic transmission which is capable of maximum speed of no more than 30 miles per hour, the guide reads. Motorized scooters, according to the guide, are defined in state law as any two-wheeled tandem or three-wheeled device that has handlebars, designed to be stood or sat upon by the operator, powered by an electric or gas-powered motor that is capable of propelling the device with or without human propulsion. Like with motorized bikes and mopeds, motorized scooters riders must have a license or permit, and riders must wear helmets. A look at some key sections of Massachusetts general law reveals the following about how state law applies to some of the vehicles types discussed by Dartmouth officials. Bicyclists riding together shall not ride more than 2 abreast, but on a roadway with more than one lane in the direction of travel, bicyclists shall ride within a single lane. This applies to all bicycles, according to MGL Title 14, Chapter 85, Section 11b. A motorized bicycle shall not be operated upon any way as defined in Section 1 within the Commonwealth by any person under 16 years of age, nor at a speed in excess of 25 miles per hour. And any person 16 years of age or younger operating a bicycle or being carried as a passenger on a bicycle on a public way, bicycle path, or any other public right-of-way shall wear a helmet. Motorized bicycles and motorized scooters shall comply with all applicable federal motor vehicle safety standards. To watch the November 17th Dartmouth Select Board meeting online, visit www.youtube.com/@DartmouthCommunityMedia. This next article is entitled, WaterWiz in Wareham Looking to Expand Parking Lot. WaterWiz plans to add more parking would conceivably make it safer for guests to the amusement park to be dropped off safely. Owner David Darling and his attorney Eric Brainsky of the Brainsky Levinson Law Firm and civil engineer Taylor Dowdy of the engineering firm BSC Group, presented the proposal to the Wareham Planning Board on Monday, November 10th. WaterWiz was before the Planning Board for site plan review to look at the increasing of their parking. The hearing was continued to the next Planning Board meeting scheduled for Monday, January 12th. WaterWiz could not be reached for comment. Wareham Director of Planning, Josh Faraday, said there is a 7-row parking area to the right of the amusement park, and what they are looking to do is to expand that parking to the lot next to it. At the southern portion of that lot is a good amount of vegetation known as vegetative wetland that is locally protected under Wareham's Wetlands Protective Bylaws. WaterWiz previously went before the Conservation Commission with a request to fill in that wetland and construct a parking lot there, Faraday said. The Conservation Commission gave its approval with the understanding that wetlands would be replicated directly to the east of that site with hydrology that connects to a small pond. Faraday said in the eyes of the Conservation Commission, what has happened is that the isolated wetland is being filled and replicated. They were comfortable with the project because it's an increase in wetlands than what currently exists, he said. The Wareham Conservation Commission also has a no-activity zone for commercial properties within 50 feet, where nothing can happen, and with the replication of this wetland, it basically creates a larger buffer to the wetland by allowing them to plant or revegetate wetland. Faraday said one of the conditions was that they would put fencing at the 50-foot no-activity zone to the wetland where there are Conservation Commission signs that identify it as wetland. The goal of that is to hopefully prevent people from littering in what I think naturally would have been presumed to be just woods. Faraday said the parking lot construction is really important from the town's perspective because it creates drive aisles and parking aisles within the parking lot that are considered to be safety mechanisms for any type of parking situation. It prevents cars from wildly driving through the parking lot with these islands that are landscaped in there, and it also gives clarity on vehicle movement and how it should happen, he said. Currently, WaterWiz leases a parking lot at the Tractor Supply, although people have to walk to the park from there. He said this will allow customers to park closer to WaterWiz and also creates less congestion onto Cranberry Highway, which was an issue when the highway was being constructed. There would be a total of 290 spaces with 243 standard parking spaces, 36 compact parking spaces, 8 standard accessible spaces, and 3 van accessible spaces. Faraday said he would consider this approach to the expansion of a parking at WaterWiz to make the most sense. He said they do own the abandoned Wendy's to the northwest of the park on the same side of the street and could fit some parking in that lot, but the design coming off Cranberry Highway offers the most flexibility. Faraday said without approval from the Conservation Commission more than a year ago, the project would not exist. The Conservation Commission sees it as a benefit because they are actually gaining jurisdiction wetland and increasing their no-activity zone buffer. And the town sees it as a benefit because currently where people are parking at WaterWiz, there are really only 2 options to get to the park, he said. If you walk behind the park, you're close to the railroad tracks. Or if you go out to Cranberry Highway, you walk along the highway. Getting all the parking onto this side of the site allows for better entrance to the patrons, and it alleviates some of the congestion that was on Cranberry Highway for vehicles backing up on Cranberry Highway, he said. There's one obituary in today's paper, that of Robert J. Bob Amaral, 87 years old. He passed away peacefully on his own terms, surrounded by his family, on November 28, 2025. He was the loving husband of Barbara E. Gerard Amaral, with whom he shared 45 years of marriage. Bob was born in Fall River and was the son of the late Alvaro Amaral and Agnes Jackson Amaral. Bob was employed for many years as a diesel mechanic for Frito-Lay until his retirement. He was a well-known avid outdoorsman who had a lifelong passion for archery and bow hunting. Bob was recognized as the Massachusetts State Bow Champion several times and was a former member of the Fall River, New Bedford, and Tiverton Rod and Gun Clubs. He was also a lifetime member of the Massachusetts State Bow Hunters Association and instrumental in carrying on its mission, and was a member of the Broadhead Collectors Club. Bob was happy to have led a long and wonderful life. His hunting adventures took him all over the world, where he made many wonderful memories. Bob was also a diehard Boston Red Sox and New England Patriots fan. But most of all, he cherished the time he spent with his large and loving family. Surviving in addition to his wife are his children Robert Amaral, Carol Nozoy of Fall River, and Susan Belleau and her husband Stephen, and Gail Orlando. Bob was a father of the late Russell Amaral and brother of the late Richard Amaral. Relatives and friends are invited to attend a time of visitation on Thursday, December 4th, 2025, from 9:30 to 11 a.m. in the Hathaway Community Home for Funerals, 900 Buffington Street, Somerset. Prayers will begin at 11 a.m. Burial will be held at a later date. In lieu of flowers, please consider a contribution in Bob's memory to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital or a local charity of your choice. For online family registry, please visit www.hathawayfunerals.com. This next article is from Reuters, titled Trump Ally Disqualified as New Jersey Federal Prosecutor. A federal appeals court determined on December 1st that Alina Habba, a former personal lawyer to Donald Trump, was unlawfully appointed as the top federal prosecutor in New Jersey and disqualified her from supervising cases in a decision rebuking the Republican president. The unanimous ruling by a three-judge panel of the Philadelphia-based Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals was the latest blow to Trump and his Justice Department as they seek to install loyalists to oversee key U.S. attorneys' offices around the country. The Third Circuit upheld U.S. District Judge Matthew Brand's ruling in August that the Trump administration violated a federal appointments law in naming Habba as acting U.S. attorney in New Jersey. It is apparent that the current administration has been frustrated by some of the legal and political barriers to getting its appointees in place, Judge D. Michael Fisher wrote in the ruling. Its efforts to elevate its preferred candidate for U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey, Alina Habba, to the role of acting U.S. Attorney demonstrate the difficulties it has faced. The ruling is likely to affect scores of active federal criminal cases in New Jersey, forcing the Justice Department to find a new prosecutor to supervise those cases. The administration could appeal the decision to the U.S. Supreme Court. The ruling is the first by a federal appeals court on the administration's attempt to install temporary U.S. attorneys, though others have been challenged in court. The federal judge last week dismissed criminal cases that had been brought against two high-profile Trump adversaries, former FBI Director James Comey and New York State Attorney General Letitia James. The judge found that the Trump-aligned prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan, who brought the charges, had been unlawfully appointed as interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. U.S. attorneys typically must be nominated by the President and confirmed by the Senate, but other laws allow for temporary appointments in certain circumstances. Regarding Haber, criminal defendants in 2 cases challenged a series of maneuvers that the Justice Department used to attempt to keep Haber in her post after judges on New Jersey's district court opted not to extend her interim appointment. The Justice Department accused the judges of political motivations. That court instead named Haber's top deputy, career federal prosecutor Desiree Grace, as her successor, prompting the Justice Department to fire Grace and attempt to reinstall Haber. Lawyers for the defendants argued that the maneuvers bypassed the Senate confirmation process and would improperly allow a prosecutor to serve indefinitely. The Justice Department argued that the appointment was lawful and that Attorney General Pam Bondi granted Haber authority to supervise cases under a second title, Special Attorney. Haber, who had no prior prosecutorial experience, represented Trump during his years out of the presidency. And this article is entitled, White House Unveils 2025 Christmas Decor. Christmas decorations at the White House, which were personally selected by First Lady Melania Trump, aim to reflect the American spirit of generosity, patriotism, and gratitude under the theme, Home is Where the Heart Is. Former President George Washington and President Donald Trump each have Lego portraits in the green room, which has been decorated as a game room with dominoes and other entertainment. The iconic White House gingerbread house in the state dining room showcases the South Portico and offers a unique glimpse into the yellow oval room in the private residence as it is furnished today. The replica was built from 120 pounds of gingerbread. It is edible, but you cannot take a piece with you, said Nick Clemens, a spokesperson for the First Lady. Public tours arranged through congressional offices begin on December 2nd. The White House expects tens of thousands of people to view the decorations. The decorations honor military families and highlight aspects of the country's 250th anniversary, which the president is celebrating with a year-long series of events leading up to July 4th, 2026. A total of 51 trees are scattered around the White House. The official centerpiece Christmas tree in the Blue Room is from Corson's Tree Farms in Sidney, Michigan, and is more than 18 feet tall. The tree, a concolor fir, honors Gold Star families and features more than 2,800 gold stars, as well as ornaments depicting the official bird and flower from each state and territory, celebrating the hope, courage, and steadfast spirit that make America home. And we've just about reached the end of our time. Once again, today's weather will be rain and snow tonight, 37 to 44 for a high, 23 to 30 for a low. And on Wednesday, we're looking at a breezy morning, only 36 to 43 for a high, 28 to 35 for a low. This has been Bob reading the Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 edition of the Fall River Herald. Thank you very much for listening and have a pleasant day.